Okay, I'm gonna do this intro with this cushion in front of me because I just filmed the reveal and I don't feel like going and changing to film this intro, you know? So it's gonna be cushion me for this. Um, okay, so this dress was originally intended for my niece's 5th birthday party because the family was all wearing dark green. And I just didn't have enough time to finish it because I was also working on the birthday girl's dress. So I prioritized that, and this just had to be pushed forward, you know? So I do wish that I had been able to finish it because I think it came out cute and it's very comfortable, you know? So yeah, but I hope you like it, and that's everything, I think. So on to the video.
All right, so I really should be wearing my glasses, but I just don't at home. I figure, I know what everything looks like, but clearly I do not because I don't see when my sideburns are trying to escape home base. And, it's fine. Like, it's fine. I know, like, I watch a lot of people on YouTube and they look so cute and they're all put together before they start filming and sewing. But I know if I feel like I have to get ready and dolled up before filming, I just won't do it.
All right, it's Tuesday. I need this done soon. Party is on Saturday, but I want to get it done by tomorrow. It's Tuesday and okay, so I finished patterning, but I also changed my mind what I was doing. So here's the new plan. So just like this is like somewhat based off of a Dolce and Gabbana design, but I made it. I want it to be a little bit wider at the shoulder, so it could be like a cap sleeve kind of, or like go just like past the shoulder like a sleeve, hopefully. So the reason I was avoiding this is because I can't get my machine to sure and I don't have time to like figure that out, so I tried multiple times, but so I decided I'm just going to try to do it with elastic. So I'm making this section about 4 inches, and then a gathered skirt, and basically just like the caftan that I made last time, only shorter and with a higher neckline. So yeah. Let me go through the patterning here. I like try to do a sleeve and then change my mind, so yeah, it's fine. Let's see what's going on here. 16.5 width to the center front, and then 10.25 overlap for the front, 17 inches long, half an inch seam allowance in the bottom, 1 inch seam allowance in the top, but I'm gonna hopefully sew down to have channels for drawstrings, and to ruche up that, the shoulder. Ooh, it really want to come out. And 3.5 over for the width and 5 inches down for the length of the neckline. So that's that. I'm gonna cut 2 mirrored pieces of that. Now for the back, I'm gonna do the same thing to conserve paper, and I just, let me find it, where is it? Okay, so I just matched this up. So it's gonna be 3.5 inches over and 3 inches down. I think this is the same one I had in the last one too. So close fitting. I think I think it did I made this slightly narrower so that it would fit closer to my neck and slightly more shallow. So I'm hoping like this means there won't be a gaping issue at all. But if there is, I'll just add a little stitch in to keep it closed. All right, and then this will attach to that waistband, and it's already wider than the waistband, so it's gonna be gathered and then gathered more once it's attached to the waistband elastics put in. So we'll see how that turns out. And then I did the facings too, so I just, oh, so when I cut this out, I'll just fold this pattern piece at the center line here, and then it'll be center back, and then I'll just cut this round neckline instead of, I'll cut the round neckline, I'll cut the round neckline instead of this overlapped V. And then I don't have a lot of time, so I'm trying to move at a fast clip here. So I made the front facing, I just traced it in the neckline and just made it 3 inches wide. And that's this. And then same thing for the back. I just traced it and made it, I just traced it and made it 3 inches wide also. So there we go. So I'm gonna cut this out. But wait, the skirt. Okay, so decided here, because this fabric isn't that wide, I would prefer this to be like just a 1 panel skirt for ease, you know, of making and cutting, etc. But it's not a very wide fabric. So this is that like a quarter circle skirt for 30 inches. So that's like my waist measurement. And I'm gonna cut it on the fold here, so it'll be doubled, and then I can gather that to the waistband. And but I can only get 20-inch length here, so I'm hoping I'll have enough fabric to add an 18-inch tier. That if I can cut the tops from here, and then maybe I'll have enough here to cut the tiers out of. I will have to piece them, obviously. But I think just cutting this fabric width in half will give me about 18 inches. It's about 39 inches long. If you take out the selvage, it's 38 inches. So, yeah. We'll see. Almost forgot the waistband. Okay, so because I wanted to be 4 inches finished, I made the width 5 inches. So it'll be a 1/2 inch top and bottom for seam allowances. And then I decided to make this 40 inches wide. I'm at 40 because I didn't want there to be like too much excess fabric, because I'm not shirring, I'm using elastic. I am worried about like bubbling and just it being thick, I guess. So yeah, so I made it just like 10 inches bigger than my waist. So I'm gonna cut 2 of these and sew them together, and then sew at 20.5, because 1/2 inch is just for the seam allowance on either side. So it's gonna be cut in the fold. So that means that I will sew these 2 long pieces together, and then I'm gonna try to sew a channel every 1/2 inch on it. I just went through and marked, I think it's 6 channels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it was 8. There would be 8 channels here for, this is the elastic I have. It's 1/4 inch elastic, which is what I used last time. Okay, I've decided to just cut out the pattern pieces right now, and then I can stop. So giving myself like an out here. Alright, so here's all the pattern pieces. 1/4 circle skirt to cut on the fold. The front, let me zoom in here. The bodice front and back. If you cut this part off and put the back neck on here, then it's the back. So hopefully I can cut the back on the fold, but this is going to be cut 2 mirror images. Sorry about, I like put oil in my hands because they're so dry, and now there's oil on everything, so please excuse that. And then here is the elastic waistband, the 4-inch elastic waistband, and then let me zoom out a bit. And then here are the front neck facing, the back neck facing. So that's all of it. I don't know if I'm gonna have the energy to place this out right now. 'Tis the next day once again. So I haven't cut it yet, so I'm gonna cut it. Okay, if I can at least cut it, but if I can also serge it, that would be great. It's early because I couldn't sleep, so maybe I have time. So yeah, so I'm hoping also that the patterning is gonna make decisions, you know? So I'm hoping now that I have the pattern, I can at least like knock things out, you know? So let me do the layout and start cutting.
Cutting out the fabric is my least favorite part of sewing by far. I was able to add an extra 1/2 inch to that skirt piece while I was cutting, so that was good. And I don't have a giant table, so I just rough cut out my pattern pieces and then I cut them out better with the rotary cutter on the table. With a cutting mat, when it's big enough, you know, when it's not, I just keep scarring my table. Not the best idea, but that's what I do. Oh yeah, and here's the back. So I just used the front piece folded on the center front for the center back. And then I'm just putting the back neckline piece on there so that I can trace that neckline instead for the back. And yeah, and then just cutting and slicing away, and it just takes so much more time than you think it's gonna take, you know? Okay, this is like layered 4 times, and I've been trying really hard to make just an extension of this fit to make the skirt instead of like a gathered rectangle, but it's just not happening. Like, I would need 4 of these. So that's 4 seams, and then also piecing. And this, it's not a pattern fabric or anything, and it's gonna be extra work, so they have to call it. And we're doing the tiers. Okay, I forgot that I didn't cut the waistband, so I'm going to cut it out of this tier, unfortunately. So hopefully whatever's left over isn't like a sad ruffle. But it's what I got, so you know. We'll see. We'll see what comes out. Well, here's the super neat aftermath of the cutting. That and that is what I have left. Plus, like, there's a palette scrap, like little tiny scraps somewhere. I don't know where I put them. Oh, there they are. Right next to the wax paper I used once for sequins. Alright, so I don't think I have it in me to serge right now. That took a long time because I tried to extend the A-line skirt. Had I not done that, that would have been less painful. But here we are. It is cut. It will be serged later. Okay, so it's sometime later. It's how much later is it? It's probably like a week later. It's roughly a week later. I cut out everything, and then that was all I could do because then I had to focus on my niece's dress, and that came together nicely. I'll insert footage here of my husband was nice enough to take some footage of the dress because I was just done. I was like lying down. I was like, I need to get ready now to go to the party because I finished it like the morning of. Was that right? The morning of? Yeah, I think it was the morning of. So, the day before. I can't remember. It's all a blur now. So, and now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know if I have enough length left over for that ruffling at the bottom for the length. But, you know, we'll see. Maybe I have something else already that I can use to do that tier if I need to. I'll just do a contrasting color. We'll see. But right now, I'm just going to do a little bit of serging before I take a break. We don't want to work on it right now, but I'll do some serging. That's like easy, you know. And yesterday, okay, it's the next day. Yesterday, I serged everything except for that last rectangular tier because I'm not 100% sure
what I'm doing down there yet. But today I think I'm gonna start with the waistband because the waistband is what I'm most unsure about. And I think I cut the two 40-inch rectangles like the same size, but I think I'm gonna shave one down by 1 inch on each side. That way I could put the elastic in later, you know, so there'll be like an opening there, which means I will have to search that edge again. I just realized that right now. That's fine. So I'm gonna see about doing that first and then marking the channels and then sewing those up. Okay, I just ironed everything except for that last tier while I was at it, and researched the edges of this shorter rectangle now for the waist. And I'm going to stagger it like this, but before I put it together, I think I am going to put in the channel markers with my heat erasable pen. So okay, that took me so long because first I did the black heat erasable and then it slowly faded as it got to the end. So I switched to the red one because I was like, oh, it's a contrasting color, maybe it'll show up darker. It did show up dark, but it also faded away. So finally I just go in with trusty chalk. So hopefully this washes away easily enough or rubs away or something. We'll see. Alright, so I've pinned the center and clipped the edges. So, I mean, yeah, so I'm going to sew the center line and then see if I can just keep going from there or if I'm going to need to pin more after that, but hopefully this will be enough. Okay, it's the next day. Don't mind the laundry, if you can hear that. I sewed the channels yesterday and it took me forever, so that's all I did. So I'm gonna see what I can get done in half an hour right now. That's about how much I have, I think. So I'm gonna work on the bodice portion. So I'm gonna sew up the shoulders for the main shoulders and the facing shoulders, and then see how long that takes me. And then if there's time, maybe I can iron them flat and sew up the channel portion for the shoulder. See how far I get. As usual, I've used clips because I can. And I think it'll be fine for these. So I'm going to sew up all of the shoulder seams for the facings and the main bodice. Alright, in that much time, I was able to sew the shoulder seams for this and the facing and iron them open. Well, iron this open and the facing, I accidentally sewed at a 1/2 inch and then had to redo it at 1 inch. So I just ironed it to the back. Maybe I'll trim it and reserge it. But it was as far as I can get in half an hour, so I'll work more on it later. Alright, it's the next day and I already like trimmed the seam allowance on the facing because I had sewn it at a 1/2 inch accidentally and then did it at 1 inch. So I trimmed it and researched it and pressed it flat so that I could press the seam open, you know, to have less bulk at the shoulder seam. So now I guess I will sew the channels down for the drawstring situation. I mean, drawstring, I'm not planning to actually adjust it once I put it in, but okay, so sometimes I'm like, oh, I move so slow, but then I remind myself, like, it's okay, even if I work on it 20 minutes, eventually I'll get there, you know? So to that end, I'm going to work on the channels and then hopefully get the facing on today. So let's see. Okay, here's the shoulder seam. I'm doing exactly what I did for the capstan top, but I'm just gonna account for the 1-inch hem allowance here on like the sleeve portion, and then add just another inch. So that's gonna be 3 inches. So that's where I marked with chalk here. So, and then over here where the facing's gonna go, I marked like the 1/2 inch where the facing's gonna sew on, and then added 3/4 of an inch. So that's where that's gonna be. So I'm gonna sew from here to here. Actually, this is not 3 inches, I think. I think I did it at 2 3/4. Yeah, I did this at 2 3/4 because I figured 3/4 of an inch is enough to like get my safety pin in there and thread through the seam allowance here. So I'm just gonna sew the seam allowance down next to the serging. Alright, so I sewed the channels, and I did the same thing I did last time with the gold fabric, because I thought, oh, maybe it'll work to sew from the inside because it doesn't have a shiny side. No, confirmed, it was not the fabric's fault. It was just top stitching is better, so, you know, it had little bits and baubles like this, but it's fine. It's fine, it's gonna get gathered, it'll be fine, but... Now I need to pin the facing on. That is the next step. So all right, so here that is. That's all pinned. All right, I'm gonna sew it up. I hate sewing with pins, but for facings, they're just better than clips. Alright, so I sewed on the facing and I clipped my curves and everything and understitched the seam allowance to the facing. So here it is, and I ironed it, so there we go. We'll see how this neckline turns out. I wanted it to be high. We'll see. But that's enough for now, I think. Alright, it's the next day, so today's goal is to sew up the side seams, hem like the sleeve opening, and tack together the overlap at the waist, and then depending on how I feel then, maybe attach it to the waistband. But before I do that, if I get to that, then I'm gonna check to make sure I can thread elastic through those 1/2 inch channels because I have not checked that yet. So yeah, but first step is going to be the side seams and the sleeve opening. I'm just going to mark the 6 inches here. I sewed up the side seams 6 inches and ironed it open and ironed the hem in at the same time because it's the same seam here, and clipped that at that 1 inch allowance and then sewed it around just like the width of the presser foot. And at the side seam I just I squared it the same width, and then I ironed it. So here we are now. Okay, we're firmly at rectangle phase here. So I think next up I'm gonna just tack this together in the front so that I can treat it as one thing when I sew it onto the waistband. So I think I am going to pin that to make sure it stays in place more firmly than a clip will hold, you know? Alright, so I sewed the front flaps down. I don't know what else to call these. The front flaps are secured. So that's done. And then I also checked to see if I could scooch in the safety pin with the elastic. It seems to be fine. So I think what I'm going to do next is just sew the seam here at that 1/2 inch
And hopefully that half inch left over will be still easy to put that in there. This is going to be the inside. Yeah, okay, so this is going to be the inside, so I can hide where that elastic's going in. So I'm going to put these sides together. And yes, the chalk is still here. Like, do I want to rinse this? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe when it's bunched up, it won't show as much. Anyway, I should have just done it on the back. I think that would have been better. So note to self, just mark the channels on the back. That's fine though. All right, so I'm just gonna clip this together and sew it into the round, and then it'll be ready. Then it'll be ready to sew to the top of the bodice. But we'll see if I do that right now. Okay, so I sewed up the seam for the waistband and pressed it open. I didn't factor in that this would kind of cover a lot of the space here, which I should have anticipated. But I think it'll be fine because it's going to be sewed down on the sides here, not here. So that should be okay. This will be the tightest portion here, I think. So that's fine, you know. Actually, before I go, I'm like staring at the situation with the skirt, trying to figure out what I want to do. I was going through my stash. Initially, like, I was looking at this lavender lace, because I know like dark green and lavender kind of go together. Or like a fun combo. But it's, I don't know if you can tell here or not, but let me zoom in here. It's kind of shiny, which I don't love. I feel like it's going to look weird against this cotton that's so matte and dark, you know? So I think I also have this olive green cotton. It's a different weight. It's heavier than this cotton, but I'm thinking of maybe this is like an interesting combo to me too. I think it looks nice, you know? So, I don't know. I'm thinking of washing this. I don't know if I'll want to just do the whole bottom tier just this olive then and just do it gathered, or I could combine it with this one and do like a two-toned, or I could also just extend this skirt with this fabric, which could also be nice, you know? So I guess I'll think about that. In the meantime, I'll just throw it in the wash so it's ready to go tomorrow in case I want to do any of those things. But we'll see. Okay, it's the next day, and I did wash that other green fabric in case I wanted to use that for the bottom of the skirt. But I think before I decide what to do with the bottom, if I'm going to use new fabric, I'm gonna just put together the rest of the dress. So I'm gonna attach the top and attach the portion of the skirt I have, because if it doesn't look right, I don't want to throw good fabric after bad. Does that make sense? You know, not that this fabric's bad, but I have like, I think 5-6 yards of that olive fabric, and I'd rather preserve it for a different project if this one I don't love, you know? So I think that's the plan. So I'm going to try to gather the top of the waist portion of the bodice, and then gather the skirt, so the skirt into a loop, and then gather that, attach both to the waistband, and put in the elastic so I can try it on before I fuss with the extra length I wanted to add onto the skirt. Alright, so I don't have a lot of time right now, so let me go. And add a gathering stitch here at the top, and then I'm going to add a gathering stitch at the bottom. I'm going to try to point at the bottom of the bodice there also. And then I'll come back and try to do, which one will we do first? Probably the top I'll attach first to the waistband, and then the bottom
the skirt also. We'll see how far I can get in like an hour or so. So let me move quickly. Alright, so I machine gathered it, but just putting it on the longest stitch and the highest tension. And so now I'm gonna pin it to the waistband here. I made a crease on the opposite side of the seam, so that'll be the front. And I'll try to center that in the front. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so I try my best to like pin the front as evenly as I could, because it didn't gather as easily as the back did, because the back is, you know, one layer. So, you know, hopefully it's fine. So I clipped the back and I pinned the front because I had to do that. So I sew it and hopefully it works out okay. It's gonna be fine. Like, then it's also gonna get gathered a bit by the waistband, so I'm hoping imperfections aren't super noticeable. So let me go sew this up. Okay, this is as far as I can get today. Skirt is sewed into the round and I pressed the seam. It's not even, but I did it. And the bodice is attached to the waistband. Is it perfectly even? No, but it is attached. So, you know, good enough. All right, I'm gonna go now. All right, it's the next day. Early. My sleep is all over the place, and my dark circles are circling, you know. So, but I can't sleep, so I am going to work on this dress. So I'm gonna gather the top of the skirt and attach it to the waistband, and depending on how I feel after that, maybe I'll start putting an elastic, perhaps. We shall see. But I want to at least attach the skirt right now. So maybe I'll have like breakfast. Alright, I machine gathered the top of the skirt the same way, just the longest stitch, highest tension. I started at the seam because I'm hoping I can just, you know, put this at the back with the waistband seam. So let me clip this. Alright, I just like stretched it to try to get halves and then halves of halves like that, you know, eyeballing it because I am a lazy person. So I'm a lazy sewist. So yeah, I'm just gonna sew this on and I hope my bobbin lasts through this. Fingers crossed. Alright, and the skirt is on. As with everything, it's not even. It's not perfect. But it's fine. I think I might put the elastic in later. It's gonna be really annoying to do. Okay, it's later the same day, which never happens. But I'm thinking of just wrapping this around my waist and getting an idea and starting to thread elastic through all those channels. Alright, so I'm just gonna cut a bunch this length. Alright, I'm elastic rich now. I have 8 of them cut to that size. So, time to just thread them all through. Alright, I've gotten the last 2 of the 8 elastics in there finally. Try to stretch this so you can go in. Okay, it's been some days. It's been some days since I've worked on this dress. I just was dragging my feet because I didn't really want to use this olive fabric for this dress, but then I thought about buying more. I think also because I saw like Joann's going out of business, so I'm like, okay, might not be able to get more of this olive fabric. But then also I was like, that's okay, you know, it's fine. So I think I'm just gonna use it and hope for the best. And hopefully this dress turns out wearable. And if not, I will harvest it for parts and it'll be okay. So I think I'm gonna just extend the skirt. So I still have that pattern piece, but I think it's gonna be too long to get it out efficiently. So I'm gonna shave off 2 inches from the bottom, and I hope that's enough so I can cut out 4 pieces and piece them together to be the bottom half-ish of the skirt. So let me do that. All right, 2 pieces here, 2 pieces here. So normally I would serge all 4 of them first before sewing them together, but I think it's gonna be easy for me to just I clip together one side of each. Oh, it's so hard. Okay, so hard for mirror imaging. Oh, here and here. So I'm gonna sew those up and then sew, all 4 of them into a loop and then serge. I think that'll just be easier to do that way. So to the sewing machine. Okay, so I sewed together all 4 panels and serged everything. I didn't serge the seam separately. I just went through in one go because it was easier. So hopefully unpicking isn't in my future. But I did leave the end open. So it's not fully a loop. I left a seam open because I think it might be cleaner if I unpick the bottom of the skirt and then sew this on and then do that seam, finish up that seam in one go. So if there's any part that, it's not going to be perfect. So if it's off a bit, it won't be as noticeable. That's hopefully, So I think that's all I'm going to do today. And then tomorrow I will do that. I will attach this to the bottom of the dress. And then after that's done, we'll see if I get to the hem. And I just have to put I still have to thread the elastic through the shoulder seam channel situation. So this is enough for now though. Okay, it's the next day and today's goal, this next hour's goal, I think is just going to be to unpick the skirt seam on the dress, maybe just like a couple inches, and attach the new bottom of the skirt and resew that seam. So hopefully it matches pretty well. Fingers crossed. Washing it did get the chalk marks out, but it is quite wrinkled now. And we'll deal with that later. Okay, I clipped it and used almost all my clips. There is a little bit extra at the end here, which I kind of expected something to be off because there's just too many seams. I didn't cut it perfectly. I cut it like on the carpet, So this is fine. So I'm just gonna sew it. It's gonna be a long sew. It was a lot of clips, and then I will trim off the excess and reserge it, I guess, and then and then sew up the seam. Let me go do that now. All right, it's attached, and then I sewed up the seam and serged it, and I think it looks okay. It took a while though because the circumference is pretty long.
So I think I'm gonna do the hemming and ironing and possibly elastic tomorrow. So this is as far as I'm gonna get today. Good enough though. I mean, right? This was the hard part, I feel like, hopefully. It's the next day and I'm just gonna do like a narrow hem. It can be a couple turns up just to cover the serging at the bottom. I tried it on. It's pretty long, which I'm fine with, but the elastic part at the waist is quite tight. So I'm wondering if I can just add like an extension, like an inch extension along it, just from where it's still open. I might do that. Or I might not, we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna start with the hem. And then I'm gonna have to iron it before I put in like the elastic for the shoulder, because it'll be a bit harder to iron after I do that. All right, starting with the hem. I just turned it up a couple of times because I didn't want like the black serging to show. It took a long time, so I think this is all I'm gonna do right now. I listened to my Bialik's bird flu podcast while I did it, and so one more one more thing to kind of keep in mind and worry about right now. So great, All right, I skipped yesterday because I just didn't want to work on it yesterday. So last thing I did was do the hem. It's not perfect, and I pulled it up twice. I thought I had olive thread, but I used the closest thing I had. It was kind of like a medium beige green tinted thread, and it's not perfect. Oh, yeah. That's what it looks like. It's okay, It's fine. It's fine. So I want to just finish this today, so I am going to first I'm going to add some elastic to the elastic that's already I'm not taking it out because it took me so long to thread that elastic through with my little safety pin. I think I'm going to get something like a tool that you can do that with, hopefully. Okay, I think I want to add about 1.25 inches, but I'm going to add 2 inches to that, so 3.25, because a 1/2 inch overlap on each side when I'm sewing it in, and that takes away from the existing elastic that's there already too. So I'm just gonna do 3.25. All right, so adding length to the elastic yesterday at the waist took longer than I thought it would, and I'm a little annoyed with the end of it, so I have to do more. So now it's the next day, and I'm just going to, I think what I'm going to do is iron the top part so that I can thread through the other elastic to gather the shoulders finally, and then after that I think I'll iron the skirt and press whatever wrinkles I've added, I guess, maybe. I was trying to like use my oh, well, this is fully cracked on the side. Well, I just bought this and it's broken, so that's cool. But I'm hoping it has something in here that I can use for threading. All right, I just tied it onto this one. This is stretchy, but it doesn't need to be. I'm just trying to use up this thing I have because it's just sitting around, But yeah, hopefully this works. This should work, I think. Oh my god, this was so much faster. I can't even explain how much faster this was. This was definitely worth the purchase. I think like all of that stuff was like $8 or something. So yeah, definitely should have gotten something like this earlier. After I finished tacking down the facings and ironing the skirt, I was finally done. Usually in a project, I hit a point where I just want to be finished, and I hit it about a week before I finished this project. So I was really happy.
All right. I'm trying out this ring light for the first time. Let's see how this goes. Okay. So I like the dress. I think it came out not exactly how I pictured it, but I still like it. And I wish I'd been able to finish it to wear for its original intended purpose, which was my niece's 5th birthday, because all the family wore dark green. The dress I ended up wearing was fine, you know, but like I would have enjoyed wearing this one more. But I had to prioritize my niece's dress for her birthday, so you know, it's fine. And I'll find somewhere else to wear this, even if I just wear it to Target or something. But I'm trying to keep on track here with the list of things to talk about here. So aesthetics. Do I like how it looks? I like how it looks. I think there is a little issue in the back because I did elastic and I deliberately left an opening between like where the seam is in the back so that I could adjust the elastic, which I ended up having to do. I ended up having to make it looser. There's like a little like bit of fabric there that's like a little, I don't know, a little wedge that pokes out the width of that waistband. So that's not great, but also it's okay. You know, maybe I'll sew it down or something at some point or put something on it. But honestly, it's in the back, so if I don't see it, it doesn't matter. And in terms of, I love the fullness of the skirt. The light green ended up on the light green I ended up adding to the bottom. I actually don't hate it. I think it's pretty. I do think we started watching Severance after, and this color scheme is exactly that rug that she wakes up on. Like, she wakes up on a table on that rug that's these two colors. I'll see if I can pop it up, but it really made me laugh. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it can go as the Severance rug, you know? I think like maybe the waistband being slightly a little bit narrower would have been better. Might have looked a little bit better, but it still looks good like this too. And if it was all one color, I would have liked that too, but I really don't mind this two-toned, so that's good. And then this is, I wanted to have a little bit of a sleeve, and this gave me that, so I like that. And then the neckline's high, which I like too. So yeah, I think it looks nice. Let's see, what else? Lifestyle. Do I see myself wearing this? Yes, this would have been perfect for my niece's birthday, but if there's any other daytime event, I mean, we don't go to many things, but if there is one, this is very, very wearable for that. And then let's see, sturdiness. Okay. Yes. Is this sturdy? I would say yes. It's 100% cotton and it is washable. I already washed it, you know. I had to wash it once before I even put it back on because of the chalk markings. So mark the chalk on the inside of the outside of the waistband. So yeah, so it's very wearable. It's very comfortable because it's 100% cotton. It's very breathable. It can be washed and dried in the regular washer and dryer. And yeah, so I think sturdiness, very good. Comfort. It's very comfortable because it's 100% cotton. And the middle is elastic. So it has give. Nothing's like feels too tight. So I really like that. And it's also because the neckline is high, I don't have to worry about moving any which way or whatever. It's pretty secure. And I feel pretty comfortable with the amount of arm coverage. The hemline's long. Like there's nothing here that's going to make me think twice about wearing it, if that makes sense. And let's see, ease of construction. Okay, so without the addition of the extra bit at the bottom, it's not crazy construction because there's no fastenings. It's an elasticated waistband. I think that's the most difficult part of this because I have to sew a bunch of channels and then thread through elastic. But that's more tedious than difficult, I would say. And this is also like there's no set-in sleeves, no fastenings, you know. So I would say this took me a bit to sew just because I'm a slow sewer, you know. But I think if you're really fast, like it's not that big a deal. I would say yeah. So I would say ease of sewing, pretty good, you know. When you have this big of a skirt, it does take longer because the hem is long, and then I had to piece the bottom too because the bottom is so wide. But I do like the end result. I like how swingy it is, you know. Let's see, okay, and then cost. I don't remember exactly how much it ended up being, but it's 100% cotton, so I don't know, maybe $30. This is a really guess. 20 or 30, something like that, probably. If I'm guessing, it's $5 a yard. You know, I don't 100% remember how much each fabric was. And I didn't use all of this olive green I had anyway. So I would say pretty affordable. Especially, yeah, I feel like you would end up buying something like this and it wouldn't be 100% cotton. And so it wouldn't be as comfortable and probably not as sturdy, honestly. So I think in terms of cost, it's definitely worth it. So yeah, and then like, would I make it again? Yeah, I would 100% make it again. I think it's cute and it's comfortable and it's sturdy and breathable and like I like all of those things. So yeah, I would say this one is a win. The little flappy in the back. What I do need to learn is how to shirr. So the shirr fabric, because I think the middle section would be even more comfortable shirred because this wouldn't be as many layers. However, this version is adjustable. Like if the elastic gives out or if I need to tighten it or loosen it with weight fluctuations, I can do that because there's an opening to just pull the elastic out, which is why I'm kind of accepting the flap in the back. So yeah, so I think there's like a cost benefit situation between shirring and the elasticated waistband. But I think I'm gonna try again to figure out how to shirk. What else? So first time I did like this many channels and this wide of an elastic waistband. You show it. So here's the waistband and here's the flappy. Hopefully it's showing right here. yeah, so yeah, I think it's everything. Oh, I ended up just using like a neutral bag that my mom got for me, and these nude high heels that I wore for my brother's wedding, and that I haven't worn since because they're too high for me. Ideally, I think this would look really good with rattan. I think that's how you say it, or rattan, or like the woven natural fiber purse and shoe. I think would look really good with this. But in the spirit of using what I had, that's what I had and that's what I used, and it's fine, you know. Would I wear that out? No, because I think this dress can be made more casual with a more casual shoe and more casual purse. It's not like, but it can also be dressed up. I think it would be good for like a wedding guest dress too, you know. So yeah, I think it's everything. I feel like I've talked forever. Okay, I think that's everything. So yeah, thanks for watching.